transformer without no top. Captain Hydraulics dumping and making it drop. California to Virginia to me making it hot.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of... Fuck, I forgot to name my own show.
Oh, God.
Oh, this is off to a wonderful start already.
Video games are dead.
Yeah, gaming is dead.
Gaming is dead.
That's the name of it. I am Habermann.
You could just call me Marco.
I'm Jules.
And today we're going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. A game loved by many, hated by even more. And for good reason, we believe. And we're not just talking the 3D games, because everyone knows that those suck.
Oh, God, yes.
We're talking about the Genesis games.
We're talking about all of them.
Yeah, we're talking about the beloved Genesis games, the 16-bit Sonic the Hedgehog, and how that wasn't good either. Because it wasn't. And if you think it was, you're an idiot.
You say 16-bit, I don't believe they were 16-bit. I don't care what Sega claims, because the games didn't look as good as what was on the Super Nintendo anyway. And that was 16-bit.
The graphics were so fucking two-dimensional in those games. I don't mean like...
Yeah, well, that was the point.
Yeah, they kind of were 2D.
I know they were two-dimensional, but what I saw was that there was just no depth to the graphics at all. It looked so flat and normal. It wasn't like on the Super Nintendo, where you had things kind of sticking out at you. There was that effect.
Which Genesis did not have.
Well, to be fair, the Genesis came out while the NES was still out, before the Super NES did. I think there was a solid year or two before NES finally moved on to Super NES. And Genesis did try to, combat Nintendo with the Sega 32X add-on, the CD add-on. We all know how those went over.
Blast processing.
Oh, God.
But despite that, I mean, the flagship series was always Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog that they always compared to Mario. And even when it was Mario World, as opposed to Mario 3 versus Sonic the Hedgehog, even when it was Super NES versus Sonic the Hedgehog, they still kept on pushing Sonic as, their mascot. And I don't think they had good reason to.
Sonic the Hedgehog was one of the first examples of, just taking the same sprites and modifying them. Recolors, I think they call them nowadays.
Yeah, that is the popular term for it. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, look at the graphics between Sonic 2, then Sonic CD was literally Sonic the Hedgehog 2 graphics. They didn't change them at all. Then they finally changed them in Sonic 3. Is that how long it took them?
I remember them always raving about how good Sonic CD looked, and then I played, I'm like, it looks like the same fucking thing.
It's smoother, I'll give it that. It's not like this...
Yeah, but...
It doesn't have the frame rate drops.
But they make it sound like it's the best fucking animation ever seen, it's the best goddamn 2D side-scrolling game ever made, blah blah blah.
Well, I've heard the argument that players are just running way too fast to appreciate the graphics. And I think that's worth debating, because for all the talk about Sonic being the fastest thing alive...
The cartoon might have declared that he was the fastest thing alive, but the games certainly weren't. The only thing that was fast about the Sonic series was how fast they put out the fucking sequels. You had Sonic, and you had Sonic 2, then you had Sonic on the portables, no less, which was the same goddamn thing all over again, just on a smaller platform.
I'm talking about, though, just as speed-wise. I mean, look at the original Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, here it is, blast processing at its finest. Yeah, Green Hill Zone, there were some, places where you had, a lot of room to just run forward. You had all the springs and stuff. Second level of the game, Marble Hill Zone. What the fuck? Okay, Marble Hill Zone, this is the second level, and immediately it becomes a platformer. And not just a run-to-the-right platformer, you're going to the left to the right, you're pushing blocks into lava and surfing them across these beds of, okay, what happened to this running really fast?
Yeah, with these broken fucking controls.
It was that there was no friction. You slid everywhere. I
know, you were sliding all over the place. They said, it's the speed of Sonic and things like that. But no. What that was is just crippled controls.
No, that's called sacrificing precision controlling for, I guess, speed, or what you would call speed, though most of the games that I can recall having terrible platforming controls did the exact same thing. Had platforms you'd land on, and you would slide from left to right because there was no precision in how you would jump or land.
Yeah, jumping puzzles in a game that prides itself on being super fast-paced, but then again, you're running forward, the next thing you know, you're waiting for a block to magically fly, hover into the sky high enough for you to jump onto another platform, so you can jump onto another platform, and it's an endless cycle.
And, need we forget the whole underwater bit, where you could drown to death very easily if you fell in the water.
Yeah, Aquatic Ruin Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2, yeah.
Bingo.
Drowning to death in a fucking retro game. It just boggles my mind why they tried to implement realism in a goddamn retro game.
I mean, if I remember one thing about Sonic, it's that goddamn song you hear when you're under the water too long. That's all I remember about Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. Literally, that's the most memorable thing for me, because I died so many fucking times at that point. It was like, I got fed up and I was tired of it. What did I do? I went back and I played fucking Mario.
Well, now the newest song about Sonic is that Reach for the Sky.
Oh, don't diss that song. That song is so good. Crush 40, I think.
Is that some 41 bullshit?
They're the alternative rock new metal group that's been doing the music for Sonic ever since Sonic Adventure. They stopped paying the whatever Sonic team's like residential music club was, and they hired this shitty alt rock new metal band to start doing all the music. And they did a lot of songs for Shadow the Hedgehog.
Don't you mean Emo Wrist Slit the Hedgehog?
Great game. And, you know, which brings us to Sonic 4. Something I think we should touch upon here. They didn't use Crush 40. They didn't use Crush 40 for Sonic 4. They went back to MIDIs for Sonic 4. Sonic 4 that's the only thing they did. That's the only real callback to it, because the rest of the game is just bullshit. I mean, it's not as fast as it was on Genesis. Not like the Genesis was even fast, so it's even slower than the Genesis.
So basically, Sega did exactly what Nintendo's doing.
It's these janky-ass 3D graphics on 2D backgrounds, like New Super Mario Brothers and all that shit. And like, okay, let me put it this way: if Sonic the Hedgehog 4 were a platformer starring any other character in any other game universe, no one would be kicking up half a shit about it. It would just be another generic platformer. But the fact that it's Sonic doing this generic platformer suddenly makes it notable.
Wait, it makes it notable to the goddamn furries.
Well, the furries, of course, who Sega's aiming their product at now by adding new furry characters or new furry species with every new game that comes out, playing up the romance angle. Hey, here's Princess Elia or whatever her name is in Sonic. Let's watch them get it on. Hey, here's Knuckles. He's going to ignore the bad.
I love the naming quality of the characters, too. Like, let's just randomly pick out let's look at the elemental chart or something, just randomly pick names.
Look, what sounds really slutty? Rogue? Yeah, that's perfect. Do it. Toss it
Beautiful.
in. Tycho, that sounds tribal. Exotic. Do it. Cream? Oh, I know I'm gonna cream in there. Yeah, put her in there too. Why not?
Oh, he's got more than one tail? Let's call him Tails. Like, real creative there, Sonic Team.
And it all comes back to, like, the original Genesis games. And the Genesis games, as shitty as they were, I mean, like, there was 1-2 characters in the beginning. It was Sonic and Eggman, and then you go to the second game.
No, it wasn't Eggman. It was Dr. Robotnik. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it became Eggman. Just like with Princess Toadstool and Peach and Bowser.
I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't know you were Sonic purist.
No, I'm just saying it makes no fucking sense. And both companies have done this. They change the names of things out of nowhere. They just decided, oh, we're gonna change it.
Because Eggman's more kid-friendly, and that offsets all the furry, erotic undertones that they've been putting into the latest games.
I say they fucked up in the dub room, and they just left it, and they said the hell with it.
Whatever at this point.
It became canon. It makes no fucking sense, and it drives me nuts.
But yeah, back to the Genesis games. I mean, first they added Tails, that went over real well, then they added Knuckles in the next one, because they felt an obligation to just keep on adding all these fucking characters. Next thing you know, we're 50 characters deep, all because instead of innovation, adding new like gameplay elements, they just add new characters, and that's all they thought to do.
Yeah, because you know what Sonic really is a fucking masturbation tool. That's
what it is. Amy, look at Amy's rack.
I'd rather not.
Look at Sonic CD, then look at the latest one where she's suddenly a C-cup now? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know hedgehogs had breasts.
Yeah, because in Sonic CD, she's a completely different character. I think she's a tarot reader or something like that, a psychic. I don't know, I could have swore she was a psychic or something at first, and then they just decided to change it for whatever fucking reason.
She's a Japanese schoolgirl in the original, wearing like this really conservative dress. Now she's in like this one-piece skirt and these slut boots, and it's... Okay, sure, let's fetishize hedgehogs. Great.
It's like every other cast member. It's like Pokemon. The characters are getting sluttier and sluttier as the years progress.
That is a point. Low punny, you know, I'd put it up in there. That's all I'm going to say about low punny. Jules, agree? Disagree?
Oh yeah, I agree. Agree entirely.
I definitely. Me too. Mark, consensus.
I agree.
That's okay. Consensus reached. Low punny, we want to put it in you. So, you know, if there's a Lopunny breeder out there, you know, to swing by our offices, because, you know, we started with Sonic, and then we got the hots for hedgehogs. Then Cream comes out, now we got this rabbit fetish going on. So now we need Lopunny up in this, so we can put it up in her. Okay, on the subject of consensuses, can we also reach a consensus regarding Sonic the Hedgehog? That Sonic the Hedgehog was never good, and that it didn't take Sonic Adventure to make the series go downhill. It took Sonic the Hedgehog and the Sega Genesis.
No, it was never good. It's just like fucking Sony with their goddamn series like Resistance and fucking, Killzone. The reason they're doing that is because it's not as good as Halo, and they can't admit to it, and it's the only game they got on their system that even comes close, so they keep raving about it endlessly.
Exactly, Sonic the Hedgehog. So Sega chose Sonic as their mascot on the Genesis, and they rolled with it. And he should have never attracted the fan base he has.
Well, he has because of fucking Anthrocon, but, besides that, nobody fucking likes that series.
Yeah, all the old fans are gone. None of them who were around in 1991, who owned a Genesis of their own, are still around.
No, they've gotten jobs and fucking lives instead of sitting in their goddamn basement.
I got news for you. When a fucking, ABC or NBC cartoon based off the Sonic games can become better than the Sonic games are after, 10 years or something? With storyline and everything else like that? When a cartoon can bypass the actual game, the original creator's vision, quote-unquote, you have a fucking problem.
It's sad but true.
I will say without a shadow of a doubt that Mario is a way better game.
Yes, third consensus. Let's all agree that Mario is a better game than Sonic.
I'll agree with a little subtitle note on that. Until he went into outer space and did all this crazy shit on the side.
Oh, that's a subject for another episode because this has gone on way too long.
Oh, yes.
And this is not a podcast. This is a YouTube video.
It's like in Conan the fucking Barbarian or Destroyer, but that's a story for another time.
That's a story for another time.
Don't be scared, girl, reach out and touch somebody.